If we could manage what people are putting in their mouth, manage the herbs and supplements that they're taking, we could almost ensure that the people are going to get the results that they're looking for. And it is an honor, honestly, to be able to do this and watch the work, watch what happens. We've seen lives transformed over and over and over on a daily basis.
I always tell people, if you think about it more than twice in a day, you're supposed to do something. Mm-hmm. That means it's your gift. That means God gave it to us. So stand with that. Like, hold on to that. Know that, like, you ain't crazy because you're pursuing this dream.
Right.
It's meant to be. It's just maybe not right now. But in the midst of pursuing, live.
Right.
Because living builds character.
If you haven't heard about Cameron is, to me, one of the most knowledgeable persons about the alkaline, electric, plant-based vegan diet. He's worked directly with Dr. Sebi. He has been helping so many people, including myself and my aunt who had Parkinson's, really get their bodies alkaline with this electric, non-hybrid nutrition plan that he has. And so I wanted to bring him to you today so that he can share his journey and his knowledge on how we can all just really take our health to the next level. So Cameron, let us know how you got started.
Thank you so much, Koya. Awesome. How did I get started? Wow, I feel like it was a journey, and it was something that has always been in my path. I think the foundation was laid a long time ago. I had an auntie in my life that was many years ago into an alternative lifestyle. We thought it was crazy then. She came around and said, hey, we're not going to eat this and we don't eat that, and you need to take these herbs and this and that. But I think the seeds were planted very early on. And so even when I had a really unhealthy lifestyle, there were certain things that I always knew to do. And throughout my journey, it was like little breadcrumbs were left, saying, hey, go this way, check this out. Here, this circumstance is being presented. And it just kept building and building. I think it all came to a head when I met Dr. Sebi. A beautiful, amazing man. And it was through something seemingly totally unrelated. I got a phone call from a gentleman who is now a friend and mentor of mine. You know him, Thurston. And, he said, hey, I know you're working with this water situation. And at that time, I was involved with the Naturally Alkaline Water Company. And so I was trained and certified in that stuff. And so he asked me, he said, hey, would you like to meet a man named Dr. Sebi? I'm like, meet him? Absolutely. He's like, well, he'd like to meet you. He heard about this thing that you're involved in. And when I met him, his energy was just so amazing. He was so accepting and just showed so much love. And
at the time, I remember you telling me this story, and you were pretty heavy, a lot heavier than you are now.
Oh, wow. I was, at that point, I was about 320 pounds.
Wow.
I was a smoker. I smoked about a pack of cigarettes every day. And I had a really unhealthy lifestyle. And at that point, Sebi shared some information with me. And the information that he shared with me would not allow me to be the same any longer. It was like seeds were planted, like you can't go back.
Right.
And so that became kind of our dynamic. I sit, and he would share some information. I go back and I study, and I come back with questions, and he'd answer that, share some more information, and over a certain amount of time, I began to put these things to work in my own life. And I always like to give this caveat here. It's not that I was the only person around Sebi at the time, or that he tapped me on my shoulder and said, hey, you're going to be the one to carry this thing on, and so on and so forth. There were other people around. I can't speak for other people and what they took from the situation, but I was listening. And I knew that this was some information that not only needed to be taken in, but it needed to be shared, and it needed to be shared in a major way.
What do you think was the most impactful thing? Because you spent a lot of time with him. You learned a ton that, people, need to find out through your book, which I'm encouraging you to write.
Right.
But what do you feel like was the most impactful knowledge that he gave you so that you really understood how the body functions and that leads you to what you're teaching others today?
Yeah. So I could kind of bullet point it. Some of the most important things that he really drove home was, number one, we're all sick. We are at different stages of our individual pathologies. And we begin to write off different symptoms, and we'll say, I get migraine headaches, or I get reoccurring yeast infections, or I got bad knees or bad back. And all these things are really the body's way of saying, hey, you know what, something's going on here. The number two thing is that not only are we all sick, we're all sick from the exact same thing. There are not multiple diseases. There's just multiple manifestations of the exact same underlying problem. And that underlying problem is mucus or inflammation. The third thing is that it's no mystery where this stuff is coming from. It's coming from the food. And
the food and the environment.
The food and the environment, right? So, so there's a lot of things we can control. There's a lot of things we can't. Like the air quality in Southern California, there's nothing you can do about that. But you absolutely can do some things about what it is that you're putting in your mouth.
Right.
And, Sebi told me something. He said, Cameron, when you decide to make this change, you're going to be mad about two things. One is that you didn't make the change sooner. Number two is that you're going to be absolutely infuriated when you figure out what they've done to our food. And as I've continued my research, it is it can be overwhelming sometimes.
Right.
And I know that people need help, because some of the things that they're telling us are healthy for us, they're not.
Right.
And
so a lot of people are knowing, like, okay, they get it. They don't know that information. And I think that's what you told me that really made it simple. It's like mucus and inflammation. So how can you get the body alkaline, right? And people are doing it in different ways and different diets, but the surefire way to not only keep the body alkaline, but to keep it running at its optimal state.
Absolutely.
So can you share kind of like your transition to this unhealthy lifestyle to the lifestyle? And I mean, Cameron's an anomaly. He fasts. He doesn't even eat. I tease him. I bought him a vegan burger today. He didn't eat. But when I first met him, he was fasting, and he believes heavily in fasting. So I would love for you to talk about the eating first, but then also get into the fasting too, because I do think fasting is healing as well.
Absolutely. So in terms of the eating, let me start here. We figured out how to ensure that we live an optimal life, and that our health stays in that zone. That zone is an alkaline zone, and we're looking to keep the body in homeostasis, right? And that is the point where everything is operating as it should be. The pH levels in the body are right, and we don't get any of the things going wrong in the body, right? So here's how we do it. We have to stop putting the foods in our mouth that are causing mucus, inflammation, and acid in the body. Those are the things that are getting inflammation and acid.
No bueno.
That's number one.
Got you.
All right. Number two, we have to begin to so that means we're going to stop doing detriment to our body. But what about all the damage we've already done, right? And so what we have to do is we got to begin to cleanse. We have to begin to cleanse our body on a cellular level. So everybody talks about colon cleansing, doing a colon flush and things. We know that that's good. We definitely have to keep that digestive tract moving along and flushed out. But we have to actually, to affect real healing, we got to take it a couple steps further, and we got to address the body at the level at which the problem lies, which is at the cellular level. Everything's happening right down there. That's where the magic's at. And so what we want to do is begin to address the cells on a one-on-one basis, and we're scrubbing them. removing the toxins, removing the heavy metals, removing the mucus, removing the acid, so that those cells can reform their own mucous membrane and become a healthy cell again. Because only a healthy cell can replicate another healthy cell. A sick, weakened, compromised cell is only going to make another sick, weakened, or compromised cell. So as we begin to clean those up, that one new healthy cell is going to make 2, and those 2 are going to make 4 and 8, and so on and so forth. What we're doing is starting the proliferation of healthy cells such that they begin to outnumber the unhealthy cells. Now, at the same time that we're cleaning them up, all right, we're kicking that bad stuff out, we got to give it, what are we going to rebuild it with, right? So we have to rebuild it with high doses of plant-based nutrition. That's where we talk about, so there's intracellular cleansing, and then we combine that with the cellular rejuvenation, high doses of plant-based nutrition. That's how we bring the body back into homeostasis. And that is how we begin to reverse every improper instance in the body, improper health. That's how we begin to reverse diseases. And so I always tell everybody, there's no magic here. There's no medicine here, right? It's just we're getting back to giving the body what it needs. The body's a perfect healing machine. Got to give it what it needs. And you know, Koya, there's something I want to share with you that I've learned that it's like these breadcrumbs. You were very instrumental in getting me to see this side, right? So my approach is very physical. It's very scientific, right?
Very.
There's no mysticism in what it is that I do, and I was pretty rigid about that. But you introduced me and opened my mind up to the metaphysical side, right? The spiritual side, the mindfulness. And I have to tell you, it has been like a whole nother level of breakthrough in my own self-work and my work with my clients. So thank you so much. So, you know, everything in this universe is about reciprocity. So, you know, I wasn't the only one sharing, right? You shared a lot with me. I appreciate that so much. Yeah,
Thank you for saying that, because I got so much from you, so much knowledge on, I knew how to eat healthy, and I knew how to balance my macros, protein, carbohydrates, fat, and to eat plant-based, and how good it is for me and the planet. But what I didn't know is about that intracellular cleansing and how to reverse almost every single instance on the planet. And even though I am plant-based vegan, that still, because of the toxins from the environment, I still must continually detox and cleanse myself so that I don't get sick. And that's what I wanted to give my community, who half of them are plant-based vegan, half of them aren't. But as we start to get healthy, realize that there's no point at which you don't have to cleanse and you don't have to be healthy. Like you said, we all are sick or have sickness at some point.
That's right.
It's just about maintaining our health by really being knowledgeable about what we're consuming through our clothes, through our products on our skin, through the air that we breathe. We all collectively, that's why the more we can tell people, because collectively, if someone's sitting beside you with some toxic perfume on, you're breathing that in. So that's why we have to share. And so I want to talk a little bit more about just because your journey is inspiring. You know, your transition is so inspiring. So I want to kind of go back and talk about this lifestyle that you had and the transition and how tough it was. And then when was that moment where you're just like, you know what? I just want to give people that, because a lot of people think it's impossible for them.
No, it's not. You know, so here's another thing. So people always talk to me about the stuff I learned from Sebi. Like, oh gosh, he taught you about these herbs and about this and that. Two of the biggest things that he taught me is that when we do this, we must do it with integrity, right? Because people are trusting you with their health, and you are a conduit for the information, right? So you've taken in the information, you're digesting it, and you're giving it back to the people. The other thing is that we got to meet everybody where they're at, right? And we got to do this with love. So it's no food shaming and talking down to folks and you eating that. Oh, you know, we meet people where we're at, and you know, everybody's trigger is different and what makes them want to change. But here's what I challenge folks to do: change something. right? It can't be in 2019 that there's not nothing that you don't eat, right?
Right.
You got to start cutting something out somewhere. And again,
what was the first thing you cut out? What was the first thing you were like, all right, I'm done with this, and I'm going to get started?
Wow. The first thing I cut out was that smoking.
That
was, I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I did that.
And how much would you smoke?
And I was about a pack a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the drinking. Wow, the drinking. You know, I was at the point where I was probably drinking about a gallon of vodka a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of vodka.
So this is a lifestyle that, you know, I kind of like built up over time. I spent many years in the music business, entertainment, and it just these unhealthy habits seemed to go right in line with the lifestyle.
Right.
And I just happily collected these habits, and I thought I was having a good time. And I think, you know, everything happened like right at the right time. So when I was expecting my baby child was around the same time that I met Sebi. And so I'd spend the day over there with him, and I'd come home and I'd go outside. I never smoked inside. I'd go outside, smoke a cigarette, and I'd come back in. I'd do the whole wash up thing, you know, going
right.
But that didn't really do it. It's like you can't get it off. And I pick up my baby. She smells so sweet, and I'm like, and then I'm like, oh gosh, I got her smelling like smoke. And I know. And I just looked at it, and I was like, you know what? I want to show my daughter something different. It's not getting any easier, right? In terms of food selections and things. And I want her to see, I want to give her a roadmap, and I want her to see her daddy's dynamic and that he's capable of change. And I have to be the change, right? So I'm not into like preaching, telling people what it is they got to do. Just watch me. I'm going to be an example. I'm going to be consistent. And then even the biggest naysayers, after a while, if you're consistent, they come around and say, hey, what was that you were saying about, you know, I'll be like, okay, here, brother, let me share that with you. And I look at the seeds that I planted, and I watch my daughter. Now, again, she's a kid, so
right.
she's going to have some things,
right?
But I look at the choices that she'll make. You know, somebody puts some ice cream in front of her. She's like, is it vegan? Hello, she's 4 years old, right? And she knows. You know, if you meet her, she loves to tell people, you know, I never had any baby food. She's 4. She's like, my daddy always made my food, right? So even those little jewels, those seeds are planted, and that is how we really affect change in the lineage of things. And so, yeah, that lifestyle, I think that's when I flipped the switch. And from there, it was just like a dogged commitment. Like, okay.
So you got to be committed to it.
You got to be committed to it.
Right.
But don't necessarily try to do it all at once.
Right.
And so what I did, so, you know, Dr. Sebi put together a nutritional guide, and he put this guide together over the course of 30 to 40 years. And this list was dynamic, so it changed over time. But what he did that we haven't done, and one of the greatest gifts he gave us, is with his time and his money, he decided to research the foods. And he sent these foods to independent laboratories, not just to find out what this food was on a molecular level and what it had to offer the body and would it assimilate, but also what was the lineage of this food? Where did it come from? When did it first pop up on this planet? And to figure out, is it something that's actually useful in it? Because they'll tell you this food has all this in it, it's got this in it and that in it, all these different nutrients and vitamins and this and that. It doesn't do any good if it won't assimilate.
Right.
It might be in there. They're not lying. It's in there. But it won't assimilate, so it's not going to work out. And so I take that list, and I was like, okay, I put a copy of it up on the refrigerator. I put a copy of it on my phone, so I'd always have it with me. And I told myself, you know what? Every day, I'm going to eat at least one thing off of this list. Every day. Did that for a while, and I said, okay, every meal, every time I eat, I'm going to have at least one thing off of this list included. And then I said, hey, you know what? Half of everything I put in my mouth is going to come from this list.
That's amazing.
And 70%, 80%, 90%. And, you just kept refining.
So baby steps
Baby
is
steps.
what you recommend. Just
Baby
adding,
steps.
whether it's like one thing a week to one thing, couple
A
things
day.
a week, one thing a day.
Yep.
I think that's beautiful because I feel like people feel like, okay, I need to go vegan or I need to
Right.
go alkaline or I need to. But I agree, my process too was just one step at a time.
That's right.
Cut out one at a time. That's so beautiful.
And here's the thing, Koya. Like, for people like yourself, people like me, it's kind of like second nature at this point, right? Like, we just not going to eat certain things, right? It just comes automatic, right? But it can be intimidating for folks. Like, we want them to go from 0 to 100. Okay, not going to happen. That could be intimidating. And what will happen is they just do nothing, right? And so what I tell everyone is that the difference between my approach and a lot of people, because there's some other folks out here that on this alkaline vegan thing, and they just kind of like, like, whoa, bro. Okay, so here's what we're...
My way or the highway. Kind
Right.
Yeah.
Here's what we're really trying to do. What we're trying to do is create a lifestyle that's sustainable for a lifetime. Right? Not this flash in the pan thing like, oh yeah, I'm going whole alkaline vegan, and then next week they're back on burgers and stuff, No, we looking for a lifestyle that's sustainable for a lifetime. And if we could get to the point where 75, 80% of everything that we put in our mouth comes from this narrow range of food selections, the healthiest food choices, if we can get to that point, 75, 80%, and then we constantly cleanse our body on a cellular level, right? And we're constantly hitting our body with high doses of plant-based nutrition, then we will reap the benefits.
That's so true. And can you share what some of these foods are? Because some of these foods were new to me, like coyote.
Right.
And so can you share some of the foods that people can start, like, 5 or 6 fruits and 5 or 6 vegetables that you feel like maybe even weekly that people can add into their
very beneficial
diets.
Yeah. So the one you just named, chayote, is that's a hidden jewel. And some of these foods can be a little challenging to find, but they're right up under your nose, right?
Right. Online, you can get
You
a
can
lot
get them
of them.
online. That's right.
Like specialty markets.
Specialty markets, a lot of Latino markets.
But everyone can get them online.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that because a lot of people are
don't
in
have
food
that.
deserts
Right.
and
They
things
don't have
like
it.
that, don't have the access. But I feel like online, it's become so
It's a whole
easy
new world.
to live this lifestyle because everything can.
And it just shows up at your door.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so
the chayote is a really good one. The nopales is something, if you could have it every day, that'd be great. A lot of the harder winter squashes, we like those. The kabocha squash, the butternut squash, the acorn squash.
I love butternut squash.
Those are good. Wow, dandelion greens, powerful. Definitely looking for those. Jicama.
Jicama. I love jicama.
Jicama's
Jicama
gonna
French
be a
fries.
good one. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. A lot of the stuff that people like, mangoes are really
5 or
good.
so fruit.
Mangoes are good. Papaya's good. Apples are great.
Apples.
We want to stay away from like some of these new ones that just came out.
If it doesn't have a seed, right?
Right.
And those seedless, we should mention that the seedless and the hybrid versus non-hybrid. I think we should definitely.
Right.
Let's name 3 more fruits so people can go pick these things up.
Got it. Grapes.
Grapes.
With seeds. That's right.
Watermelon with seeds.
With seeds, man.
That's 5 fruits and vegetables.
Stuff. That's right. Powerful
He
stuff.
has a whole list, though.
Yeah.
We'll give you his information, but he has a whole list you can look at. But I feel like that's enough, like 5 fruits and vegetables, that if you just add those
put your head in the game.
Yeah, they're going to add so much nutrients to your body. As soon as she walked into the door, you can just feel her energy, her spirit, her light. And I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you, girl.
So I just want to dive right in and just kind of just tell everybody where you come from, because you're from the South.
I am. I'm originally from Eden, North Carolina. It's a little small town. If you knew where it was, I'd know you already. That's how small it is.
Wow.
But yeah, that's where I'm from. A little small town in North Carolina.
And how did you get so being an actress? It's not easy.
Oh no, it ain't easy, child.
So how'd you go from Southern girl to?
I always wanted to do it. As a kid, I used to always, before I knew what acting was, I remember we as a family would watch the Cosby Show every Thursday, honey. First we would go eat Mayflower or Libby Hill. That's like the fish place back before my vegan days, right? So that was a routine in our house. Every Thursday we go eat fish, and then we would come home and we watch the Cosby Show. And I remember when I was little, I told my mom one day, I was like, I want to be Rudy's friend, the next person that knock on the door, and I want to be able to walk in. I want to be Rudy's friend, but I didn't know that was me saying I want to be an actor. I just knew I wanted to be on the TV, and I wanted to do that, but I wanted to play Rudy's friend. And so as I got older, I discovered like plays at school and in church, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to perform. I love making people laugh. I always told jokes at the cookouts. Like, it's just always been my thing. Like, I love imitating the old ladies at church. Like, it's just always, that's always been what I wanted to do. And so I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to perform when I get older.
Wow. And
Yeah.
I can't even look at you without smiling.
Oh,
so, and even when I watch your content online, like I'm like smiling and laughing the entire time. So you are definitely, in your vibration of like what you were meant to do. And
I'm
so
free.
You're free.
I'm free, girl.
So how long, have you been free since you were a little girl, or was there a transition?
I feel like I've been free most of my life, and then especially as a little girl, I was definitely free. But then I got older, and life started to affect me. And when I say life started to affect me, I started to believe in the hype of life. I started believing what other people were saying instead of just trusting and believing me. So
and what did that look like for you?
As far as like when it comes to something as simple as like working in corporate America or being an actor, I started covering my accent. I started wearing my hair a certain way so that everybody feels comfortable. Let me sound a certain way because this is what society has told me it looks like. Oh, let me starve myself so I can be a little bit thinner because this is what the society and the TV and the magazines have told me. Right. So those were the years that I was not free. I thought I was. And I've always been like a hippie, and I just love everybody, and I used to make clothes, and I still love to do that. But yeah, even during that time, I didn't realize that I was not all the way free until I got to a place of, unfortunately, a really dark place of being sick and really thinking I was going to die. And at that point is when I said, no more. It's exhausting putting on a mask every day. And covering who you really are to make the world feel comfortable. And I just got to a place where I was like, no more, I can't do it.
Wow. And how did you get sick? What was that? What did that transition look like?
I don't know how I got sick. I literally started having headaches. I was having like chronic neck pain. And then that turned into headaches. It turned into chronic fatigue. Wow. I had all the like women issues going on. Doctors did not know what was wrong with me. I would have days where I would fall when I would walk. And my mom died of ALS. So of course they started testing me for that, thinking that this may be it. It may be hereditary. And they just could never find anything. Could never find anything. And there was days one day I lost my sight and I couldn't see. Wow. It was just the most bizarre thing ever. And but I think that, of course God had to take me through that. And I lost my sight because I won't see it anyway. I wouldn't even see it myself. And so in that dark time in my life is when I, finally woke up. And I had to tell myself, girl, you've been faking the funk. Wow. You better, I had to really get in the mirror and see myself. Wow. And, for the first time I really saw myself, it had been a long time. I always tell people, when you want to figure out, why you stuck or what you really passionate about or what is your purpose, go back to your childlike mentality. Think about what you love to do as a child. Because that was before you let the world interfere with this. Because when you're a child, you don't care about what nobody's saying. You're just free and you're living in your purity, honey. That is so true. Everything you do is pure. And then we get older and people start telling you, oh, you can't do that. Oh, if you do that, this will happen. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, you want to do what? And you start believing it. You start thinking it's true. And then the next thing you know, you living for somebody else. You ain't living for you no more.
Oh my goodness. That is just nail on the head. I know I've experienced. So if someone is there, can you share kind of like how you woke up and what that looks like? Because a lot of us can find ourselves like, and like you said, you don't even realize it. You're just caught up and you're like, who am I? You wake up, you don't recognize a person in the mirror.
Yeah.
So can you share kind of like your wake up call and like what that looked like for you?
Well, like I said, I had been sick for maybe like a year at this point, and I was exhausted.
Right.
I was tired, and I had got to the point where I was tired of waking up. I was like, God, why do you keep waking me up? For what? Like for what? Why? You can take me. You know, the only thing that was keeping me was my family. The only thing that I was fighting for was like, I got, I don't want to leave my kids here. I don't want to leave my husband here, and. That's
how many kids do you have?
I have 2. Yes. And so I was like, they need me.
Right.
But in the other side of my head, where the enemy was like, girl, they don't need you. You'll be all right. You can, stay asleep, But I literally remember I was in the bathroom. I had been in the shower. And that's where I always have my time where I talk to God and try to hear from him. And I literally got out and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you say you believe, because I had started convincing myself after having like several MRIs, but this one doctor telling me that it looked like I had something that was hereditary in my nervous system, which points to ALS when you start talking to me, because that's what my mom had. That's the only thing that could be hereditary.
Right.
And so within 3 days, I had convinced myself I'm gonna die. I have I done buried myself, scheduled a funeral. Like in my head, I'm like, this is it. And my mom was a pastor, and I grew up in the church, and I've always had a relationship and know like who God is and how powerful he is. But somewhere I had convinced myself that he was not that powerful. And I started to believe the enemy that, girl, this is it. Like he brought you this far just to bring you this far, honey. It ain't nothing else after this. But I was still posting everyday inspirational messages, still every now and then take a cute picture, because I was living the lie.
Right.
So I remember looking at myself in the mirror and I saw myself for the first time looking back at me saying, girl, you playing. You saying that you believe. You even I was even still praying, God heal me, but I won't believe in it.
Wow.
So I literally had a conversation with myself in the mirror. It was almost like my soul coming out and saying, what's going on? Where did you get lost? Where did you stop really believing? And in that moment, I said, no, I know who I am. I know whose I am. Girl, wake up. And in that moment, I just fell to my knees. I just started bawling, crying. I was like, God, right now I ask you just to take me and have your will. Like do what you want. Right. And I submit to you, and I'll do it your way. Because I tried it. And my way was wrong. I did it wrong for a long time. I always tell people, I thought I was doing good. I mean, I've always tried to be good to people and be, intentional by being good. Right. But I wasn't doing it his way. I did it because it was routine to be good. Right. But then there's a difference when you're free and you're saying, you got me, and I'll do it your way. And then people actually start, it was like this. Wow. I went from people like, oh, I would tell you look nice. Till I walk in the room and people say the exact same thing. Oh my God, you are so bright. You
just
have a
vibrant.
Light. Oh my God, something about you. And I know that that's the change. That's the freedom. That's them seeing God in me, because that's always my prayer. God, when I walk in the room, I don't want them to see me. I want them to see something they can't resist. And can't nobody resist him. And so in that moment, that was my wake up. That is when I became free in that bathroom. Wow. And from that day on, things just started to change in my life.
So it was almost like a mental, spiritual shift in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's powerful, because a lot of people are looking for that and they don't feel it or find it. So after you had that shift, what did your life look like after that?
So within maybe, I never remember the exact time, but like my daughter came home. Well, let's rewind. So
how many years ago from now was this?
This was 2017.
2017?
Yeah,
so
2017.
3 years?
Yeah, so I had started being sick like 2016. And then, or late 2015 rather. No, yeah. So like, because like the end of 2015, I think that's when things kind of started. But then 2016 is like really hit 2016, 2017. Right. And I had started doing stand-up, years ago. And because, as an actress in Hollywood, you on a TV show, they be giving comic shows, child. So I was like, ooh, let me come up with this plan. I'm going to start doing stand-up so I can get a TV show, right? So once I got sick, I wasn't able to go out and do stand-up anymore. So I fell into depression.
Right.
So during the time that I'm not feeling well, I'm also depressed. Right. I was having what they call manic panic attacks, where I was having sometimes 50 a day.
What?
Massive panic attacks.
50,
like constantly trying to catch my breath.
Wow.
Hands are shaking. Just nonsense, right? Just nonsense.
I can't even imagine that many.
It's crazy.
Wow.
I couldn't either until I went through it, right?
Wow.
And so, and of course, every drug prescribed, you can take this. I felt like a zombie. I mean, I remember calling my sis one day, and I was like, listen, I just saw myself at the stop sign running, and I was in my car. I looked up, and from my periphery, I was like, who is this jogging beside me? And when I turned, it was me. And I was like, these drugs is about to drive me crazy.
Wow.
Literally, they had me on so many different types of medication. I was like, I can't do it no more. Like, I got to stop this, because if I ain't crazy, they're going to take me there. Right?
So when did you transition to the vegan lifestyle?
In 2017.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to do stand-up. I ended up having a dream in 2017. I had this dream, saw myself on TV with like a little natural hair. And I was like, okay. I woke up and I was like, I ain't even auditioning. I'm not even doing stand-up anymore. Lord, how did I end up on a show of some sort? Like, what is this? So I started praying, and I heard a voice that said, start doing videos. And I was offended. And I was like, Lord, first of all, I'm an actress. I'm not doing videos. Videos about what? And so I'm having this conversation with God. He was like, listen, when you were doing stand-up, you was reaching 15, maybe 30 people a night. You start doing videos, you'll reach thousands in minutes. And I was like, well, Lord, if this is you talking to me, I don't know if you check my social media, but I don't have thousands to reach in minutes. So I don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
But I was reminded, no, I'm now living a life of obedience. Because this is after I've had the experience in the bathroom, and all I want to do is be obedient.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do these videos. And so I started doing videos based on whatever I used to tell on stage, like mom jokes, wife stuff, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to be a sit-down comedian at home, because I'm still, at this point, I'm still sick.
Right.
And so about maybe a week or so later, I decided I'm going to shave off my hair, because I used to wear my hair really long and straight, because that's what Hollywood told me they wanted, right? And I stopped covering my accent. I was like, I'm gonna be who I am. I'm gonna be completely free. So I shaved off all my hair, and then my daughter came home from school one day and said, Mom, you got to see this documentary. We watched it at school today, and it was What the Hell. And so me and my husband, we sat down, we watched it, and I was like, oh my God, okay. I was like, So it's interesting to me, but the thing that got me is when they said diseases are not hereditary, is that we eat the same thing, causing the same disease.
That's so important.
It's so
Say
important.
It again, so people hear.
Right. Diseases are not hereditary.
Not hereditary.
It's that we eat the same thing, causing the same disease.
Exactly.
And so for me, my mom died at 51 of a disease that is so rare. There's still no cause or cure. My dad is 67. He's the oldest male living in our family.
Wow.
Everyone died of strokes, heart attacks, or had them before the age of 50 on my dad's side of the family. And on my mom's side, like, they died 51. That's so young.
So young.
And meat was the common denominator. In my mind, I was like, this might be the thing that can break the curse on my family.
Wow.
And so I told my husband, I was like, let's do a 30-day challenge. And so my husband was like, we just saw this documentary. He down, like, let's do 30 days.
Wow, that's beautiful to have that support, though. We just take a moment for that. To have the support of a partner. Let's just take a big inhale.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Ooh, thank you, brother.
Yes, that's beautiful.
So we did the 30-day challenge. And on day 29, my husband was like, this has been great, but tomorrow I'm going to need a piece of chicken.
Oh.
And I was like, you know what? After day 10, I realized I didn't have headaches anymore. And my energy hit came back. And I was like, I feel good. I haven't felt this way in over a year.
Right.
I was like, I think this is my path. And I said, I think I'm going to go vegan. I think this is going to be my life.
Right.
And literally, it's like, as soon as I got that out my mouth, I heard the same voice that told me to start doing videos just whisper to me and say, now tell people what you're eating. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, listen, Lord, I got to draw a line somewhere now. I'm from North Carolina. I done shaved off all my hair. And now I'm going to tell people I ain't eating meat no more. They're going to be like, she done finally lost her mind out there in Hollywood, right? And I was like, oh, Lord, but I got to be obedient.
Right.
And so I started telling people, you know what, I'm going vegan, y'all, or plant-based, whatever you want to call it. And when I find options, I'm going to just tell y'all about the food I find.
Right.
And so I started doing live videos on Facebook, cooking in my kitchen. Now, mind you, I've been on disability for a year. My disability ran out. I was on unemployment. That ran out. I'm broke. But I'm like, Lord, you got me doing these videos. But I'm feeling better. And so I told my husband, I was like, I got to do something to make some money because you're my partner, not my provider. Right. So I gotta do something. You know, I'm doing these. I'm still every day. I'm cooking in my kitchen. Every day I'm, doing a review about some vegan food, and then I told my husband, I was like, I'm gonna go drive Uber. And my husband was like, you gonna do what? I said, I'm gonna go drive Uber because I had also in prayer, God said, humble yourself before me and I'll show you something. And I was like, well, Lord, how much more humble can I be? Like, I feel like I'm probably one of the most humble people. And he was like, humble yourself before me and I'll show you something. I was like, well, that means for me, that means to serve. And I was like, okay, what else can I do? Because all my videos, even to this day, when I post, go live on Facebook, that's free. I don't get paid for that. I just do that for the people, right? And so I was like, serving is driving people. So I'm going to go drive Uber. So I went and drove Uber. And on December 30th of 2017, I was dropping somebody off that morning. And they were by Whole Foods. And I was like, ooh, Whole Foods be having good old vegan options. I'm going to go in here and give me a little breakfast. Right. Went in there and I was like, ooh, I ain't never seen this before. Tempeh bacon, TTL, TOTA or whatever. I was like, let me try that. And can you add a pickle on there? Honey, the sandwich was so good. I ate half of it before I even thought, oh, Lord, I need to do a video and tell the people about this sandwich. Right. So I'm sitting in my car. I turn my phone on, do a video to tell people I found this great sandwich at Whole Foods. I posted the video. Honey, I went on back to driving Uber. Then later that night, I get home. And the video had started going viral. It had like maybe somewhere between 25 and 50,000 views. I was like, wow, who is watching this video? Because mind you, all my other videos would get like 100 views, 300 views. When I would go live, it'd be like 30 people in the room. All my good family and friends. And like good support.
Your supporters.
Yeah, my supporters.
Right.
And it just, by the next day, it was like 100,000+. And within 4 days, Whole Foods reached out and said, we'd love to work with you. Wow. And I became their plant-based ambassador. That's amazing. Then 20, 30 campaigns of other products later. I do so many campaigns now and branded reviews. And honey, ain't drove Uber since.
There you go. Okay. Congratulations.
Listen, not that anything is wrong with it, honey. Because listen, I'll tell you, I'll go drive it again if I ever have to. But God has blessed me.
Wow, that is fab. What a beautiful story.
And just as much as it's about what we're putting in, it's what we're not putting in, right?
Right.
So every time we're subbing one of these things for something else, that means we're not having that other detrimental food.
I call it crowding out.
Right.
It's like you're crowding out. So the more that you put these healthy foods in, the other
ain't
foods
no space for them, right?
Away.
That's
Even
right.
though you might not be perfect, you might go get that pizza or go get that burger, but because of all the squash and the mango and papaya that you're adding in, you're eating less and less of the stuff that's not good for you. So you look up and you're like, man, I have more energy. My skin's looking kind of good. I feel great, and that makes you want to do even more. So a little bit, because I do all limes now. Rarely do lemons because of you.
That's right.
And so I want to talk about the hybrid versus non-hybrid a little bit.
Absolutely. So with Sebi's research, and I was saying, he sent these foods off to the lab. What he figured out was that everything that grows out of the ground isn't necessarily natural. Meaning it wasn't made by God, nature, creation, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't originally on this planet. It was grafted. And so this is the category we call the hybrid foods. And these are foods that were not originally on this planet, and they were created by man. And they were created by taking two plants, or animals for that matter, because we got hybrid animals too, that normally in nature would never mate or cross-pollinate with one another, and they force them to do so. So they splice them together, and they force them to create an offspring. And they take that offspring and they force it to mate again and again and again and again. And each time they're doing it for particular characteristics. Right. None of these characteristics have anything to do with your health. They have everything to do with creating a viable cash crop. Something that will grow and not be destroyed by pests. That will grow quickly. That will last a long time. It's going to look beautiful. It lasts a long time so they can get it from the fields into the distribution centers, and then into the grocery stores, and then into your home, and it not rot. And
And the way someone explained to me, I don't know if it was you or someone else, they're like, it's weakening the DNA of the plant.
Absolutely. It's weakened. It's been every single time that has been spliced and spliced and spliced, that original information that is in there, it's getting whittled down. And we'll talk about why that information is important. And so people say, all right, well, it's still like, it's a vegetable. How bad can it be? Well, it could be pretty detrimental because by default, its molecular structure is going to be incomplete, and its genetic structure is going to be incompatible with our DNA. So what that means is that the food's not going to assimilate. So there's a misnomer where they say you are what you eat. Close, but not quite, right? We are what we assimilate. Most of the junk that we're taking in, the body doesn't know what to do with it.
It's not absorbing it.
Right. And so like you talked about with that message and that DNA, it's so key. Like that DNA inside of those dandelion greens or inside of that chayote, man, it has a relationship with your DNA. And they talk to each other. And when they get together and that digestion starts, there's a beautiful chemical relationship and reaction that takes place, the byproduct of which is electricity, which is going to fuel the body. And so that is what assimilation is about.
Hence the electric diet.
Absolutely.
Or I like to say the electric nutrition blend.
That's right. And that's what we are looking for.
Right.
These other foods are not going to give you that. So we get full, we get fat, we get calories, but we're not getting real nutrition. And that's what the body craves so much. And it's like, man, if you just try it, your body's going to cooperate. Your body's going to be like, oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, let's do some more of that. And you get that again, and you're like, oh, yeah. And this kind of can start like a steamroll or a snowball effect towards this healthier lifestyle.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you provided us so much juicy information, and I want you to kind of let people know kind of what you're doing now and where they can learn more or work with you and things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So where I'm at now is that my lifestyle has become my business. And so there's a couple different parts to what it is that I do. One is that I will do consultations with folks. We'll sit down on a one-on-one basis. We talk about where they've been health-wise, where they're at, where they're trying to go, and we'll devise a plan to assist in getting them there. And so we don't just, meet that one time. I coach them the whole way through and try to ensure that they get those results. The other thing that we do is that, we figured out that this alkaline, electric, vegan diet thing could be a little challenging for folks because they got a whole life to live, right?
Right.
And they got other things going on. And so we figured out there were three things that kept people from being able to do this. One was access. Access. Okay, I'm looking at this food list. Half the things I haven't heard of. I don't know where to get them. I don't have time to go to 5 different markets and the farmers markets. I don't have time to prep it and cook it, right? So that's going to be a roadblock or obstacle for people. The second thing was, oh man, okay, this vegan thing, the food, I've tasted some of it. It tastes, kind of like cardboard.
Right.
Okay, well, it doesn't have to. We can get past that and we can actually infuse flavor into this food. The third thing was variety. People are like, I'm down with the vegan thing. I just can't have a salad for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. So what we did was we put together a program where we removed each one of those roadblocks and obstacles for people, right? And so we've put together a meal prep delivery service where we actually prepare the meals in a delicious fashion. We take these ingredients from this list and we transform them into all types of creative and delicious and nutritious meals. We package them up and we deliver them to people's doorstep.
And I've had them and they are delicious. I mean, the juices. Can you just tell them the juices?
Yeah. So we make I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 different fresh juices every week. So we'll make a powerful green juice. It's not like most of the green juices you see around. We got some other stuff in ours. So we put dandelion, mustard greens, verdolagas, fresh burdock root, some things that are really, really going to work to cleanse and fortify the body. We make some fruit juices. We make a guanabana.
Guanabana is the best thing ever.
They call it soursop in the islands.
Yes.
And we make that fresh every week. We got another blend that's really popular. It's apple, blackberry, chia, and cayenne pepper. That one's delicious. We make one called a cactus cooler.
Right.
Where we take the nopal cactus and we blend that. We mix it with some alkaline spring water, some key lime juice, and some agave. That one's delicious.
And you just feel like when I drink these juices, you come and I crave them. It's almost like crack, you know? You get addicted to how you feel. And I think that's important because our bodies really does crave feeling better. And when it craves things that are not so good for us, like sugar and caffeine and stuff, and our body will get addicted to it, but that's going to take our body down. But when it gets addicted to this high from these fruits and vegetables, you feel like you can run a marathon.
Easy.
I mean,
easy call.
It feels so good.
Yeah. And so, this thing was, so the other thing is that, we put together herbal formulas, blends and things. And what we figured out was that if we could manage what people are putting in their mouth, manage the herbs and supplements that they're taking, we could almost ensure that the people are going to get the results that they're looking for.
Right.
And it is an honor, honestly, to be able to do this and watch the work, watch what happens. We've seen lives transformed over and over and over on a daily basis. People adopt this lifestyle, and it's like, every day I'll just get one of those little trinkets that just lets me know it's all worth it. They'll hit me with a text and just be like, hey, I went to the doctor today. My A1C is down from 7.2 to 6.1. Couple more points and I'm no longer diabetic. And it's been like 3 months.
How? Now, I want to get into that. Like, what are some of the things that you've seen shift for people? From diabetes to I'm just gonna let you tell me what you've experienced. More than just weight loss, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So the weight loss thing, a lot of people, that's what they're looking for, and they come and I'm like, that's the easy thing. You can get that easy, right? You start putting the right stuff in your mouth, that's gonna happen. But at this point, I mean, wow, what haven't we seen? We've seen fibromyalgia gone in 8 days. We've seen COPD gone in 14 days. We've seen bone cancer gone in 4 months. We've seen lupus gone in 3 months. We've seen sickle cell gone in 3 months. We've seen, we've probably assisted 50 people in getting off diabetes medication. Probably twice that in high blood pressure. We've seen lymphoma gone in 6 weeks. It just goes on and on and on. Like,
the body can heal itself.
Like, people come for one thing, and we're like, we're gonna address that, and they're like, but all this other stuff is happening too.
Right.
I'm like, yeah. The reality that we figured out is that, man, we get so used to feeling bad that we've forgotten what it's like to feel good.
Right.
And so
we get so used to taking drugs.
Oh gosh.
As the solution.
Yeah.
When it's just masking.
That's it.
The problem.
That's all it's doing. And with the way we run our business, our practice, and my constitution, I never tell people, listen, stop taking your medication. That's an individual thing, and I have no right to tell anyone that, right? But here's what I tell folks. This is what I've seen. That's a chemical. This is God's food. you gotta figure it out yourself. It's not that it's no mystery. Like, people are doing this every day. Like, people come with a condition, they're like, oh, my condition is this. Okay, well, like, you won't be the first or the last to reverse that.
And another story that I love that you shared with me was a story when they questioned, when Dr. Sebi had to go to court.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share a little bit of what they demanded of him?
Yeah, that was amazing. So in 85, Dr. Sebi put ad in the newspaper the New York Post, the Village Voice, and the Amsterdam News. And this ad said that we at the Usher Research Facility have successfully cured AIDS, cancer, diabetes, lupus, and all these other diseases, right?
Right.
And he ran that ad consistently for years. He got a phone call from New York Attorney General's office, said, hey, you're going to need to take that ad out the newspaper. He said, why? He said, because you're making false medical claims. What do you mean? Well, you're claiming to cure diseases that have no cure. He says, well, you didn't ask me. There's no cure. You didn't even ask to see my research. There's no cure. Take it out. No, I'm not. He refused to take it out. All right, so things ran their course of action, and they arrested him. And they charged him for with practicing medicine without a license, making false medical claims, and prescribing medications not approved by the FDA.
Right.
So in pretrial, the judge told him, hey, look, you're going to need to bring 9 witnesses, one from each of the diseases that you say you cured. And they're going to need to show up, and they're going to need to bring their diagnostic sheets that show that they had the disease, you treated them, and then they didn't have the disease. And these diagnostic sheets can't come from your spot. They're going to need to come from medically accredited facilities.
Right.
Court time rolled around. The man showed up. He did not have the 9 people with him. He had 77.
It's amazing. I love that
powerful.
story. 77
Yeah,
people that showed up and proved I have healed from these diseases.
You know the beautiful thing about it? Not just they showed up because they were healed. They showed up for him.
Right. Because they're trying to lock him up.
What the work meant to them in their life, man. They showed up for him. They, at a point in time, they needed him, and now he needed them.
Right.
And they showed up. And that's the power of the love and the power of the healing.
And community. And why community is so important.
That's right.
Because a lot of people doing this work, a lot of people, they don't have the support that they need.
That's right.
Especially from the communities that might not fully understand.
Yeah. It could be tough. And so he went and he won the court case. That's a matter of public record. He won the court case. And he proved that he did cure these diseases and a lot of others. And he proved that he did it with the same nutritional plan that we're talking about and a course of herbs. And he won the right. Most natural, alternative, holistic practitioners, you have to be very careful about the language that we use, right?
Right.
And but he won the right to say, I cure, I heal.
That's amazing.
And that was powerful.
Because not many people have that right, even today.
No. He was fearless in what he did. Fearless. And he really gave everything. He gave everything so that we would have this information. And it's so beautiful. The timing of it was so beautiful because he came right at that edge of the cusp of like social media and things being able to be memorialized for years to come. And so the information is out there. Information's out there. And there's a few people, like myself, that really study. So what's next? Okay, he gave us a platform. Right. We got to take it further.
So how are you taking it further? I mean, I know you have the food delivery. You also do one-on-one consultations.
We put herbal blends together. And so we're giving people access to these things. And I study. That's what I do. I study.
Nonstop.
Man. I'm obsessive about it. It would be a true testament if I could put one period on the end of the sentence that Sebi already put down. Right. And so he gave us the foundation, but the work is not over. There's still not only so many people that need help, but there's still so much more information. There's so many more foods that we got to take a closer look at, figure out what they are. Do they offer the body anything? Mushrooms is a whole nother world. Like I'm just starting to dig into that. That's a whole nother world. And they have lots of healing properties also. Yeah, and so that's what we're doing.
That's amazing.
And
your website?
Beyond Vegan Lifestyle.
Okay.
And Instagram is at Beyond Vegan Eats.
Okay.
And you can go there. You can see all types of beautiful food that we put together. You can actually sign up right there on Instagram. You hit the book button, and it's going to bring you up all the options of the different subscription services, whether it's just juices that you want, or you want the full program, or you want to book a consultation. You can do that right there. We also just started shipping the meals.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
congratulations.
We're doing West Coast shipping, within like a
Awesome.
500, 600 mile radius of Los Angeles. And, people like yourself, and there's some other real warriors out here that are doing their thing in their own right, and they always are inclusive and always include me, and I'm super appreciative of that. And it's so crazy that has taken me so many places.
Right. I'm just
So
so
many
honored to have you on,
places,
because I
man.
feel like people need this information.
They do.
People really
In a
need
major
it.
way.
And not only for me, but for you, from so many different perspectives. So you realize that this is something that is not going away. And if we really want to heal and elevate as a community and as a world, we have to start making these practices a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So do you have one last thing you want to leave the people who are like, this sounds good, Cameron, but like, how am I really gonna make it work for myself?
Yeah. I would like to leave people with just kind of a couple bullet points
Okay.
about what they can do to ensure that their cells,
Get a pen and paper,
and their,
or put in the
and
notes
their families
on your phone and your
stay
family.
healthy. Absolutely. This is how you can take care of yourself and your family. You or your loved ones. We don't have to be sick. So every day, try your best to get as close to a gallon of the best quality water you can find in your body.
We got our water.
We drinking
right
some.
He got me
This
on
is
this
some
water.
amazing
This
stuff right
man
here.
Is yeah. Let's drink it. It's so good.
That's some amazing stuff.
He got me on this Starkey's water. So
It's totally worth spending money on. That is where we start with the water, right? The water is not just, we talk about quenching thirst. It's a delivery system, and your water should be full of minerals. So that's number one. Number two, like we talked about, we want to stop putting the foods in our mouth that are causing mucus, acid, and inflammation, right? That means the meat. That means the dairy products. That means the processed, refined stuff, the sugars, the starches. Stop that. We have to figure out how to get our bodies high doses of iron. Iron is super duper important. Not talking about the stuff that comes from the pharmacy or over the counter or GNC. We're talking about plant-based iron. You need a plant-based iron supplement, and you need it in high doses. Iron is the main constituent of the blood. The blood is the carrier system, right? It washes over the organs. It brings oxygen. It brings nutrition. It's picking up trash and it's taking it away. It's also the magnetic mineral, right? And so wherever you find high doses of iron, you're going to find all the doses of trace minerals that come along with that iron, and they're going to be in their proper proportions. That's super important. Fasting. Need to fast, right? Fasting is important because it gives the body an opportunity to get back to its main work. The main work of the body is constant maintenance, right? And repair. Maintenance and repair. But when we continuously are shoving stuff down the gut, we got to deal with digestion. And digestion is the bodily function that takes the most energy, right? So when we cut the digestion off, and the body can just focus on healing. That is the quickest path to healing. So I'm not saying you should jump out there and, do 30, 40, 60 days.
Right.
You got to work your way up to that.
Like sometimes I stop eating solid foods at 12, and I don't eat anything else solid until 12 the next day. I might have a juice or a smoothie in the morning that's liquid, but that's my kind of daily intermittent fasting when I need to.
And that is beautiful. And do you know, every time you're doing that, you're adding life at the end. You are. That's very important. And the other thing is find a way to and the cleansing. We gotta cleanse our body on a cellular level. You're gonna have to find some strong cleansers, plant-based herbal cleansers, to cleanse your cells on a constant basis. This isn't something you do like one time. I'm gonna do a cleanse,
Right.
this year. No, it's constant because the toxins are constant, right? You're constantly breathing in toxic air. You're constantly eating toxic food. You're constantly exposed to municipal water. We even exposed to toxic people sometime in our environment, right?
Yes.
So you gotta constantly cleanse, and then you gotta find some way to center yourself. If it's yoga, meditation, relaxation. Koya taught me all types of things about relaxation. Just you gotta get there, because when we can quiet all this outside stuff, right, the mind can get focused on getting the body back in tune, back in sync. And so much of this healing is associated with that. Those would be the tips. And if you can do those things, you're going to have a long, healthy life, like no doubt.
That was amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank
Cameron.
you.
I just have one question that I want to ask all my guests, you being my first. How do you get loved up? How do you love yourself, love others, and love the planet?
Wow. That's beautiful. And if you'd asked me a few months ago, I might would have struggled with that answer. The way that I get loved up is by being of service, right? So I love being of service. I surround myself with like-minded people, people who also want to be of service. And, we are what we consider to be like love monsters. Like, it's really about love. And so I surround myself with the things in the work that I love. I surround myself with the people that I love. And I'm learning to take care of myself and treat myself,
Yeah.
I got a vacation coming up, the first one that I don't even know what that means. I used to get nervous anytime someone talked about going somewhere, right? Because I was so entrenched in what I was doing. But I learned that I need that, and I need to recharge. I sleep sometimes now. I do. I do. And so that's it. That's how I get loved up.
One of the things that I love is that, like you say, you are so humble, and that you really took it back to your roots and what you knew in order to propel yourself forward. And what do you feel like, because I know you're very spiritual and talk about being guided in that way. What do you feel about how, and it sounds like it helps you a lot in your path being an actress now, because not only do you work with Whole Foods, but you still go out for commercials and auditions. And as you know, it's hard. It's rejection every day. So if someone is out there and they're in that same position, what kind of advice would you have for them dealing with that constant rejection, constant having to show up and be approved or picked in order to make a living?
I say what's for you is for you. Nothing can stop what it's supposed to be for you. If it's for you, it's going to happen no matter what.
Right.
So you go in and show up, move forward every day. But once you audition, leave it there. Listen, I auditioned for something. I can't even remember what it was for. Like, I would literally go into an audition, and this is so important. This is very important. If it don't feel right, it ain't right. If it don't feel right, it ain't right.
Right.
And there's a million more jobs to come. And it's okay.
Right.
We're not going to win everyone. We're not going to get everyone.
Right.
And that is okay. But if you have a passion, if it lives inside of you, it'll come out.
Right.
And everything will happen. I always tell people, if you think about it more than twice in a day, you're supposed to do something with it. That means it's your gift. That means God gave it to us. So stand with that. Like, hold on to that. Know that, like, you ain't crazy because you're pursuing this dream.
Right.
It's meant to be. It's just maybe not right now. But in the midst of pursuing, live.
Right.
Because living builds character. So we as actors, we got to know how to play characters, different ones. If you out here just sitting at home waiting, but you ain't out in the world living,
right,
you're not building your character. Like, for me, I remember when I decided to take a break from acting to have another child. I was like, listen, if the industry ain't going nowhere,
right,
it's gonna be there.
Right.
I want to build my foundation, because my home and my children, my husband, that's my foundation. So I took that time. And then after my son was 1, I even told my husband when I was pregnant, I was like, listen, if it's meant for me to continue acting,
Right.
when my son turns 1, I won't have to do nothing but answer the phone and say yes. Like, everything will be laid out for me.
That's powerful.
And literally, when he turned 1, March 18th, he turned 1, right, of 2013. On March 19th, I was on set shooting a movie that I never had to audition for. My phone rang, and I said yes.
Wow.
Literally.
That's powerful.
So that is the power of the tongue.
Uh-huh.
Believing, having faith, and just knowing
Right.
if it's meant to be, it's going to be.
Right.
And don't stress about it.
That's beautiful. And that's and yoga, like I talk to people about non-attachment. And it's like that's the kind of lifestyle you have, just living your life, and you're not attached to whether you get the job or not.
No.
It's just like what's
drive
meant
you
to
crazy.
be for you is for you. Yeah, that is a beautiful way. And I think that, you know, being in that industry for a while myself, like having that mindset, that's the only way you can stay sane.
Yes.
Because
you have
otherwise
to.
it's a lot of like, you know, it can build a lot of insecurities in
Of course.
people.
Yeah.
And that's something we want to talk about, because you also talk about changing your hair. And for those of you who can't see, she has a big, beautiful
Y'all see Donna?
afro. One of my biggest challenges was falling in love with my hair. So how, when you had the big chop, tell me the difference between having your hair straight and going through life with that straight hair, and now having this big, beautiful afro. Tell me the difference in how you feel, because you're the same beautiful woman. So tell me the difference in how it makes you feel.
So the crazy thing is, when I first graduated high school, I went to college for a little while in Miami, right? And I had permed hair back then, because, you know, in the South, people was getting perms, right?
Every day?
Every day, honey. Get the creamy crack. And I was met for the first time in my life Jamaicans and Haitians and Africans, and I was like blown away with like all the natural beauty of them. And I did my first big chop in college. Shaved off my hair in a dorm room. One of the Jamaican girls was like, you know, I do it for you, come on. Shaved me off, and she was the whole time like, you're crazy. Like, she had like a head full of like extensions, like long hair, but she was like, I would, you know, kill for this hair. I'm like, girl, shave this hair off. This hair is permed. I don't care. I want to be free. And back then I was thinking like, oh, I want to embrace me, right? So I wore my hair natural since 98.
Right.
But then after I had my daughter, so we'll say 5-6 years of wearing it curly and natural, that's when I started, you know, pressing it and wearing it straight. Because I even had locks for a while. So in North Carolina, I had locks.
Right.
When I got married, I had locks. And I had an agent in Greensboro who told me, nobody wants to book, first of all, a black woman, but with locks, you're making it harder for yourself. So you should reconsider.
Right.
So I had been locking for a year. And so I stripped my locks, had to cut half of them, and then strip the rest of them out of my hair.
Wow.
And then I wore my hair curly, and that wasn't really working. That was back when people weren't really booking us with the curly natural
Right.
look, right? And then it became a thing.
Right.
Right now, that's all you see.
Now it's a thing.
Now it's a thing.
And how was it in that moment where that person told you, like, how did that make you feel? Were you just like, okay, fine, or did you feel something inside when you made that decision?
I feel like I was affected by it.
Right.
I was kind of like, dang, really?
Right.
But I wasn't affected enough to live my truth.
Right.
I wasn't affected enough to say, I don't care what they want. This is what is it going to be?
Right.
I did exactly what she said to do. And so I did. And that actually created a path that I began on, not just taking my locks out and wearing it curly. Then maybe a year or so after, I moved to Los Angeles, and that's when the pressing began. Wearing it straight. Because my very first headshot, my hair is curly. I got like this little curly afro. And then after that, all of them are straight hair until last year.
Right.
All straight hair. And I just remember thinking like, no, this is what they want. But like I told you, when I came out of the, stood up and looked at myself in the mirror in my bathroom from being sick for all that time, I was like, I need to be free.
Right.
And part of healing, in my opinion, is renewing. And hair holds energy.
Right.
People don't like to believe that, but I truly believe that. And so I was like, I need to start over.
Right.
This hair went through death with my mom, went through sickness with my mom, went through sickness with myself. It's just been through a whole lot.
Right.
I need to let it go. So I shaved it off. I was like, I'm going to start over. And girl, honey, it was like freedom. Honey, I felt so free. I was so happy. I was like, ooh, I can feel my scalp again. The hair was heavy. My neck, I got a bad neck. I was like, I feel so good. And I just embraced it. And I love it. And people love my hair.
Right.
It's one of my number one questions a day on my social media. What do you use on your hair? How do you get your hair to look like that? Like, I'm like, if y'all only knew, it's so minute.
Right.
I don't be using hardly nothing. I just be living my best life. Like, girl, I talk to her. I always tell people though, talk to your hair. Give her a name.
Right.
Honey,
and what's your hair's name?
This is Donna.
Donna.
This is Donna.
Donna's looking fly today.
See, look at Donna. And then, I named Donna because in the top she grows straight a little bit, and she do what she want to do. So I feel like she probably related to Don King. So I was like, "This is Donna. She probably a cousin or something."
That is so beautiful. And you just, definitely have it all together, and your work, your business, your family, everything. I know a lot of people looking at us like, she just got the life. But is there anything that you still maybe struggle with that you can share that maybe people don't see? Because I feel like some people think that you never have a bad day or things doesn't happen.
Shoot.
And can you just share maybe something that you're struggling with now that
I tell people every day, I'm human. Like, we are human. Like, right now I'm in physical therapy for this knee. Like, there's some days I'm barely making it on this knee, child, but I try to push myself.
Right.
And it's every day is a different day. We are human. Right. Every day ain't gonna be good.
Right.
I struggle with the thought of business. Especially coming from, you're an actor, and then you come into the social media world. You never want someone to say, well, now she's not an actor, she's only doing social media. So I'm like, no, I'm still pursuing a dream. Right? So the conflict that comes with that, and wanting people to take you serious, and wanting to make sure that people know oh no, I'm a trained actress, I'm talented, I can do this too.
Right.
And hoping that it doesn't go away.
Right.
That's those are natural things that we all think about, I think. In money and finances, honey, because when you've been to the bottom, you don't want to go back. I be like, Lord, keep me, Lord, keep this bank account right, Father God. But yeah, I have all those things, and I'm a mother and a wife, so I'm always concerned about my family, and my my children. My husband is a police officer, so I'm always concerned about him. So, but I have learned to give it to him, and truly give it to him, and I can't dwell on it. I choose happiness. Happiness is a choice.
That's beautiful. It's so
It's a
true.
choice.
Happiness is definitely a choice.
Yeah.
So I ask this question in every podcast. My company is Get Loved Up. Love yourself, love others, and love the planet. So how do you feel like you're getting loved up, in your life?
Oh my God. I always say what you give out is what you get back. And I literally live my life by leading with love in everything I do. I think that's what the world is missing, is love. I think if we love more, we'd have less violence, less hate. I honestly just every day I try my best to lead with love so that I get that back, and I feel it.
That's so beautiful.
I feel it every day. Yeah.
Beautiful. And just being a mother, like you said, a mother and a wife, and just so inspirational to others. And even the plant-based diet, that's definitely impactful for the planet. I think that's one thing people might not know. They might do it for health reasons. But what really made me sick is that it's so beneficial.
It is.
To the world and Mother Earth.
Yes,
so.
as I started learning.
Right.
when I first started, I did it for health. And then I didn't even think about, we don't think about what we don't have to face. Right. So animals never even came into my mind in the beginning, but the documentary opened me up to that too. After that, when I watched Cowspiracy and then Forks Over Knives, and I started seeing oh wow, this is happening. Right. So the torture of the animals, and then my mind, honey, let me tell you, this is a playground right here, child. This mind right here will get to running. And I started thinking of I think I forget the numbers, but we're at an all-time high of depression for a country, right? People are on more antidepressants than ever before, right? And I think that the animals that people are eating, they're so depressed. You're eating their emotion, and people don't like to like look at it that way, but I'm like,
right.
when you're suffering, it's because they were suffering.
Right.
And it's all tied in together. And then, mm-hmm. We all become sick.
Right. We're all one.
Yeah. Right. And then the more that we wake up and pay attention and find out, because knowledge is power, mm-hmm. we can make a difference.
That's so true.
So that's why I say my mission is the people. Because if I can get the people to listen, right? Mm-hmm. If I get them to listen, right? Because food, everybody loves. So if I get their stomach,
right,
I can get their heart.
That's beautiful. I love that.
And I do. And I convince people without convincing them,
right, to
try it. And so many people have become plant-based or vegan just because of me gently showing them mm-hmm. with love, this is an option. That's we can beautiful. Do this. we can save lives, period.
Leading with love. And I like the documentaries you mentioned, Cowspiracy, What the Health, and Forks Over Knives. So that's something everyone can watch and really get that information. And where can people get some more of your glow and this love that you're bringing? Where can people find you?
Well, Facebook is my main platform.
Okay.
So actress Tabitha Brown on Facebook, and then I am Tabitha Brown on all other social media. On Instagram is I am Tabitha Brown. Twitter I am Tabitha Brown, and YouTube is Tabitha Brown.
Oh, nice. And you got a show you're working on, right?
Well, honey, yes, we are developing a show. Well, I'm developing 2 shows.
Okay.
So
can you share anything, or is it
one scripted, one unscripted? I'll say that.
Okay.
I've always had a dream of being America's new mom in a sitcom form. So so like remember in the 80s, like the Roseanne show, right? So I would always say before Roseanne kind of lost her mind a little bit. Okay. But I would always say I'm Claire Huxtable meets Roseanne right in the middle.
And you do have that Claire Huxtable vibe.
I'm like right there in the middle. Right there
I would love to watch that. Like, definitely.
you.
Just thank you so much for sharing so
I
much
appreciate
knowledge.
you.
And I know it's going to be beneficial for so many people who are looking to or following their dream and get sidetracked but get back on. And I think you definitely let your fears and your trauma make you fierce, and you're just out there doing it and living a true dream and doing it beautifully. So
I appreciate you.
Thank you for coming on. And is there any one last quote, tip, antidote you want to leave our community?
How I always close my shows. Have a good day, and if you can't, don't go messing up nobody else.
Oh, hello. Did you hear that? And we do this thing at the end. We make a little heart with our hand.
Oh, yes,
like this.
I love it.
And until next time, get loved up.
Yes.
Interviewing you because I wanted to know the evolution.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people feel like it's unattainable. Not that they can be you, but to get to this higher level of consciousness.
It's attainable for everyone.
Yeah.
In bite-sized pieces. So the idea is you set yourself up for an insight, then you have to stabilize and integrate.